See, I feel like it's time for us to like go away from here, you know what I mean? Let's go to Africa. Yo, I've never been more serious in my life. Who says you can't go to Africa? That's our dream, to go to our homeland, where our roots are.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
We're taking our talents to Africa.
To Africa. To Ghana.
What? What? Oh my God, this is big news.
Warning, the following content is not suitable for all viewers and could be considered depressing. We will be talking about money. We will be talking about a typical American life routine. Good day and thank you for joining us. I'm Dale.
And I'm Dacia.
And welcome back to our channel, Off the Wheel. Off the Wheel is a community of Black Americans who have decided to jump off of the wheel that is America and onto our chosen African countries. For us, Ghana. This is our season finale. And in this season, we documented our journey that started with a simple question. Why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And it ended with us deciding to move to Ghana. But before we get started, please subscribe to this channel and press the alert button so that you can be kept in the loop every time we deliver new content. Now, today we will conclude this first season with an episode about the actual wheel. Our YouTube channel is entitled Off the Wheel. Our membership community is called Off the Wheel. But what do we mean when we talk about the wheel? What is it? Is it a different thing to different people? Are we born on the wheel? Are we born to die on the wheel? I think most people are familiar with the term rat race or hamster on a wheel. Now, the Webster Dictionary of rat race is the unpleasant life of people who have jobs that require them to work very hard in order to compete with others for money, power, status, etc. That's a good definition, but it's incomplete. Let's add an exhausting routine that leaves little to no time for relaxation.
It's being so busy with the day-to-day that we absorb everything externally in life in sound bites and posts, Instagram, TikTok. You know, we text friends instead of calling to have a conversation because you can multitask when you're texting, but it's harder to stop what you're doing and kind of talk to someone on the phone. You know, we have really shortchanged our human interaction with each other, and to me that's kind of part of that rat race effect too.
Now, moneyfit.org says the term rat race first came into colloquial use back in the 30s to describe any exhausting and usually competitive activity or routine, especially in a pressured urban life spent trying to get ahead with little time for a leisure or contemplation. The hamster wheel describes a cycle where we get caught up in our own personal to-do lists and where it's a never-ending existence of deadlines and projects due, to be the competitive struggle to achieve just the basics of life.
And feeling like we need more than the basics to live. I mean, we've packed probably about 85% of our apartment and we're still comfortable. I have not felt anything massive was missing or uncomfortable.
Yeah, we joke about if you look over our shoulder, you can see some of the blue bins that we've packed. We don't know what's in those blue bins. I haven't looked in those blue bins for 3 months now. I don't miss anything in the blue bins, and we seem to be getting along without all of that stuff. And those blue bins over here, blue bins over here,
Boxes.
just fine. So
Yeah, we'll see when we get to Ghana what we actually put in there.
existing on a hamster wheel seems like life is going by so fast that we feel out of control and we begin to feel exhausted just trying to keep up. So, what came before the wheel? Now, the modern day definition of the American dream was born in the mid-1950s during the rise of the post-war consumerism age. The wheel in 1950 was sustainable, doable, only required one salary in a household. In 2022, it's unsustainable, impossible, and requires 2 salaries at a minimum.
I mean, I was thinking about this more and more today what does the wheel, in addition to being on the wheel, it actually does something to you. It makes you fearful of getting off the wheel. Because in this society that we live in, when you're off the wheel, you're considered, you're lazy, or maybe you're giving up, or you're not completing to your full potential. And we don't get off when we really want to get off because, especially for me, I'm like, well, what about our health insurance? What about, the money that we said that we wanted to save? What about, I wanted to buy this item or that item, or I want to travel here and there? One thing that you've always said to me was, if we're not saving, if we're not working hard, then we have to change our lifestyle. And I think that was always like a fear for me, thinking that other lifestyle will not be as good as as fulfilling. So I feel like what the wheel does, it almost puts this fear in you of what you're going to lose when you get off of the wheel.
Maybe that's why rich people are so afraid of losing their money. They're so money obsessed. If you feel like that,
yeah, there's a definite fear, and also societal fear. What will people think about you because you're giving up or stopping? But the reality is that we're losing much more by staying on the wheel.
when I think where our society has landed, it reminds me of the movie In Time, where Justin Timberlake lives in a world where time is in short supply and humans display the time they have to live on their arms. When their time goes to zero, they die. Time has become the universal currency and life support. And the poor usually have just enough time to go home, eat, sleep, and get to work in the nick of time to work enough hours to earn hours to do it all over again. If a worker misses a day of work, they run out of time, they die. They are in effect slaves to the system. And as expected, the rich, the elite, the 1% have nothing but time, millions of years to spare. How is that so different from today, when we're living paycheck to paycheck, most people in America? When we don't have enough in the bank for an emergency, most people in America.
I mean, I've always worried that, we would never have enough money to retire. I mean, it plagued me, worried me, because I realized that a few years ago that retiring in New York would not be possible. It would have been harder than I thought. And even after you've saved all of your life, all of your working life, some catastrophic, illness or injury or something can really just wipe everything out. And that's not a good way to live. That's not a good way to really, truly, be happy.
The only difference between that movie and America is that here in America, there are entire industries set up to distract you from how crappy life can be. Holidays, holiday sales, reality TV, gambling, legalized pot, vacations.
I mean, over half of Americans do not take their vacations. I mean, we'd rather see those days accumulate and maybe get a paycheck out in retirement instead of enjoying it over time. I mean, although technology, I feel, has made things so much easier, depending on the type of job or career you have, returning from vacation to the backup of work can prevent some people even taking a vacation. I mean, I remember sometimes that I would check my emails while I'm on vacation so that when I got back, it would have seemed so overwhelming.
Yeah, I remember when I said to you, when I compare workers of, say, 30 years ago to workers of today, today's worker appears to have more mileage on them, as if they've worked 65 years of labor in just 40 years. So why is this? Productivity. Workers are doing the work of 2, sometimes 3 people. Thank you, technology. Less sleep. More stress at the job. More financial pressures, forcing you to stay at a crappy job, like you mentioned earlier.
I mean, I think all of those things are true, but even more so, I don't think most are happy with their jobs, like you said, and that can really show externally.
So at one point, the wheel was manageable. There was light at the end of the tunnel. In the meantime, you could enjoy life. You worked one job. It was enough.
Yeah.
But things changed. Homes became more expensive. Rent keeps going up. Gas prices up. Job insecurity up. Automation looming. The system we were born into is no longer sustainable. Let's take a look at some components of the system that collectively play their part in the wheel. The college scam. That's where we are told we have to partake in to get ahead. Why does college have to be so expensive to begin with? Why is it that college debt is harder to discharge at a bankruptcy or can't be? You're behind the 8 ball even before you really get started. And this is the beginning of the wheel. What's next?
Well, when you get out of college, you want a car.
You want a car.
Right.
Car prices keep going up. I was just looking at car leases that used to be much shorter, 3 years, 4 years. But as cars got more expensive, what did dealerships do? Ta-da, they extend the lease term. So if you have a $25,000 car and you put $1,500 down over 36 months, the lease payment is about $388. But if that car price goes from $25,000 to $30,000 and you put even more of a down payment up for the same 3 years, that lease payment jumps considerably. So what do? If you're a car dealership, you extend the life of the lease. At 48 months or 4 years, the payment drops. But if you extend it to 5 years, the payment becomes $337 or around $300-ish, just like when the car was $5,000 cheaper. So I've even heard that they're considering doing the same thing for mortgages. We're accustomed to 15-year, 20-year 30-year mortgage is the standard, but I hear whispers of dabbling in 40-year mortgages.
So we'll be in debt forever.
That's the plan.
Wow.
So what's next?
Well, we want a house or an apartment or somewhere to live outside of your parents' house.
Housing costs. So now, isn't owning a home, a house, a good thing? It depends on when you get in. I remember in one of our other videos talking about one of my housing stories where knowing of a home that was bought in Bed-Stuy for $250,000. The home sold less than 10 years later for $750,000. And that same house is on the market now for $3.5 million. So home prices keep going up, especially in the big cities. And for many families, things that were once available for us are no longer available for people who are coming after us. So housing is typically your biggest expense. So why do we let private equity firms like Blackstone buy them by the thousands, by the zip codes, to rent them out at unaffordable prices to people who don't have the down payment to buy themselves? It's just like the movie In Time. Now, apartment prices are through the roof here in New York City. I just learned about apartments being outbid. Have you heard about this, Stacey and Rudolph?
No.
So you know how you
I've heard of outbidding a house.
Right.
You can offer more on a house,
right,
but not on
but
rent.
never rent.
No.
So that's the new thing in New York. Brokers will tell renters who are all vying for the same apartment, give me your best and final offer over whatever is the listed price for the apartment, and they go with the highest. So that practice that was only once in the home purchase market has creeped into the rental market. So if your parents weren't lucky or smart enough to secure home housing way back in the day, then you are working with a serious disadvantage in the present day. I mean, I don't want to say that you're screwed, but you're close to it. So what's next?
Healthcare. I mean, everyone needs to go to the doctor.
So why is semi-affordable healthcare attached to jobs that are uncertain? How is it that most people can't afford healthcare, but United Health just made $4 billion in profits in the last quarter? That's profits, not revenue. That's the last quarter, not the last year. Those kinds of profits in a marketplace where 1 in 5 Americans can't afford health care, 22% of Americans skipped medical care because they can't afford it. Every election cycle, politicians say they're going to bend the health care curve, but they never do. And we forget that they promised it.
I mean, most people don't know that behind the scenes in healthcare, there are things, called prior authorizations. There something called maximum exceeds limit, meaning they can only get a certain amount of money spent on them within a certain amount of time. They have things called the donut hole in Medicare. So if you spend over X
What's
amount,
that Medicare letter? What? Z? It's like
Medicare Part D.
Part D? I don't know what A, B, and C is,
right.
But the donut
but
is
D
for D.
D is medical care, is prescription drugs. So if you go over that amount, you can get in the donut hole. I think now they have supplemental programs to cover the donut hole, but the fact that you even have to get there, not out of any fault of your own, just because the prices have gone up, So that's part of the reason why people can't afford medical care, because there really isn't a lot of control over it.
I wonder, what do people think when they come from other countries and they have to learn our complex healthcare system with Part B, Part C, Part D, the donut. Like, it's like it was designed to be complex enough so that no one really knows what's happening, so that things can be overcharged.
Yep.
It seems to me.
And underserved.
And underserved. So that's healthcare and the role it plays in keeping people on the wheel.
Yeah. I guess next we'll talk about food.
So food is another component that puts financial pressures on families, like the home, like the transportation expense, like the health care. Then food comes in. And we've experienced our own witnessing of our staples and some of our favorites like jump considerably in price. I like bacon. Bacon used to be under $4 a pack. Sometimes I see it for $3.89. Now our bacon costs
about 8, 9, sometimes 15, depending on what type of cut you want. Yeah.
And then
avocados.
You love avocados.
Avocados, yeah. And that has gone up to, sometimes you can get one avocado for like $2, depending on, and that's a Hass avocado, which are the small ones. They've probably doubled or tripled in price in the last couple of months.
And we see all the time on like the news channels where they say a household spends $1,500 more on food this year than they did last year. And so food for 2 people is challenging. But imagine food for like a family of 4 or a family of 6. This is where it really puts the pressure on household budgets and, puts a strain on people and keeps them on the wheel. So, who are we going to blame? Do we blame the food prices on the Ukraine issue? Do we blame it on inflation? Do we blame it on the rain with Milli Vanilli? There's a lot of blame to go around. So let's talk a little bit about how we were each introduced to the wheel in our own way. Your parents, being immigrants, like many immigrant parents, were really all about education. They pushed your whole family to get education. Now back in the day, education was cheaper. I think my college costs were $25,000 a year. I got mostly grants, got a couple of student loans, and I worked a couple of part-time jobs to be able to cover my annual college expenses. You, on the other hand,
mine was about $13,000 for the year, for the 5 years that I attended St. John's, and at that time I wasn't eligible for anything, and my parents paid out of pocket. So luckily for me, I didn't have loans to pay back, so I kind of started off on a better footing. But I know that wasn't the case for a lot of people.
So your parents really sacrificed so that you wouldn't be behind the 8 ball with student loan.
Right.
So you had 0 student loan debt when you graduated?
Yeah, I've never taken a student loan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I had maybe 50 or 60,000, and I finished it the final payment was about when I was 35. But, we got friends who were north of 45, north of 50, haven't finished paying off student loans.
I mean, if I was to go to St. John's today for my same degree, well, it's now a doctor of pharmacy degree, but for 6 years, it's around $47,000 a year. I mean, if you spread that over 6 years, we're talking.
Call it 50,000 times 6 years, 300,000. Is
Right.
that living on campus?
No, that's not living on campus.
So this is a community school?
Right. You can live on campus at
For more money?
Additional.
For more than 30,000 a year?
Additional money.
So that's probably another 15.
So you're coming out of college with a mortgage, basically.
In a work environment
Right.
that sometimes there's shortages in your field, sometimes there are too many people in
Yeah.
your field. You never know when you're going to come out.
Right. So it started early. The debt started early. The wheel starts early.
The wheel starts early.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that for my graduate degree, once upon a time, companies paid for grad school. So I started out at Morgan, finished up at Lehman Brothers. So I got an MBA in finance, zero cost to me. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think people are paying for graduate degrees.
Yeah. Not sure. I don't know.
Did you get a graduate degree?
I paid for it.
You paid for it. Not parents, but you.
Right. I paid for it.
I mean, we were told to get good grades so that we could go to a good college. And graduating from this good college is going to give us a huge head start in life. And back in the day, it did. But as each year goes by, I think that's less and less true. That's what they told us. Who is they?
Multiple people.
Guidance counselors, right?
Yeah.
Parents.
Yeah, family.
Fa-
Yeah.
In my opinion, the wheel is a result of predatory capitalism. Different companies lining up to take a bite out of your butt. You earn the money, but someone is scheming to take a piece from you. So I wish I had learned about the wheel sooner in life. Even with us, I mean, maybe we could have taken less trips to the Caribbean for almost a decade, and maybe we could have started our journey onto Ghana much sooner, 10 years sooner.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about, trying to get off of the wheel, I find that I've been second guessing my decision to get off the wheel, even though I knew it was for my own mental health and my own happiness because of what society expects. I think sometimes I worry what people say about what you're doing, and maybe their best interests are not for you.
Like who? Who would you worry about what they have to say?
Well,
You mean family?
family, friends, close friends, things that they might say like, oh, well, you can always come back, or are you going for just a couple of years and then come back? It's not like a full confidence in your ability. So that's why I feel like sometimes I'm second guessing, myself or the decisions that we make.
See, on the other hand, I meet comments like that with my own hostility. Yeah, you're nice in that way, but I just assume that people are too dumb to understand or don't understand the things that we as people go through and experience here in America to have the conversations to come to decisions like this. So when you're clueless to someone's lived experience, sometimes your knee-jerk reaction can be like that, like they don't understand. But people who get it, get it. So I think that whereas maybe you were a little more influenced by less than super enthusiastic responses from some friends and colleagues, I think I reacted a little differently to those kinds of
For sure.
yeah. But now you
I'm better.
I mean, yeah, you get over it real quick. It's not like you were ever gonna not go. You
Right,
never
right.
second guess yourself for like a little second.
Yeah, it's all kind of in the back of your mind. You don't want to fail, right? Because it's like, oh, you just proved them right. Like, so, yeah.
So, I mean, I like to give an update on our own personal story, getting off the wheel. Dacia is officially and completely off of the wheel. Now that's a story that we'll only save if you ever come over for dinner. It's a good story. But she's off the wheel. What's interesting about her not having a job and not having to get up at 5:30 after 3 snoozes is, as a result, I get up later. I used to get up at 5 o'clock to beat her 3 snooze protocol. So I would get up at 5 o'clock every morning, no matter how tired I was. She has no job. I naturally get up now at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. I've never been more rested. I would say in the last decade, I haven't been this rested. So I sleep 8 to 9 hours now, where I used to sleep 6 to 7 hours. Those 2 extra hours make a world of difference. And you know, she's heard me joke about it ad nauseum at this point, but I kept repeating to her, her job was killing me. But so Dacia is off the wheel. Dacia, I'm not going to call you unemployed. I'm going to say that you have officially begun your Act 2.
Yes.
How does it feel?
I concur with what you said. You know, you feel a lot more rested. I've had a lot of time to connect with people before we leave. I have been able to just kind of relax and just not feel guilty about being a little unproductive for a while. So I'm starting to enjoy that side of it, but I still have to have a little bit of productivity at least every day. It's just built in.
You'll get over it.
But it's been pretty rewarding for me, I would say.
So me, I'm wrapping things up, and I would say that I'll be off the wheel sometime in August. But it is interesting to talk about our different wheels. I've been self-employed most of my life, working on projects, working on partnerships. So my wheel was still a little different than your wheel, right?
Right.
I would say your wheel was a little more pressure, a little more toxicity.
Labor intensive as well.
Labor intensive. You are managing a lot of people. You're dealing with a lot of egos, a lot of personalities. You never knew where the arrows were coming from, where the knives were coming from. So it's interesting, even like for those of you out there who are self-employed, you know, it's a slightly better wheel, but you still have the obligations to earn, to deliver in different ways. So So yeah, so Daisy is off, and I'll be off shortly. Now, when I was younger, working on Wall Street, we used to brag about how little sleep we got. I only got 3 hours of sleep. I only got 2 hours of sleep. I didn't sleep at all. You know, we wore it like a badge of honor. Looking back, it was dumb. Now, I'm more impressed by the fact that I get more sleep. Like, that's impressive to me. How much sleep you got? I got 8 hours of sleep. I got 10. Like, that's impressive.
I mean, we joke in the morning, you'll say, how did you sleep? And when I had a good sleep, I'll say, I don't remember.
Yeah, you say that.
Because when I don't remember how I slept, that's a good night's sleep. And I think I'm having a little bit more of those I don't remember mornings that I've had in a long time. So
yeah, because sleep wasn't always guaranteed for you when you were on the wheel.
yeah,
Because,
a good sleep.
A good sleep,
yeah.
because you bring work stuff home.
Yeah.
You had a lot of pressure at work, and so sleep wasn't always guaranteed for you. But when I have a good sleep, you always say I don't remember, but when I have a good sleep, I say I slept so hard that I felt like I had to peel myself out of the bed. I felt like I was one with the bed. And so yeah, so that's how our sleep has changed. And it's a direct result of one of us getting off of the wheel. So I'm looking forward to our Act 2. And it's just incredible to really not have a full understanding of just how unrested I was. But because the wheel don't stop moving, you don't stop moving. You don't even stop to see how tired you are. Sometimes you catch up on the weekend, sometimes you don't. But the wheel kept moving, so we kept moving. Now Daisy's wheel is done. Now she's sleeping like a rock. So it's interesting, fascinating. So what do we want you to take away from this? Well, in case you're too busy running on the wheel to notice, we're here to tell you the wheel got faster, it's going to keep getting faster. If you thought your life was set in stone and your only path was to be stumbling off the wheel until you limped across the retirement line, we're here to tell you there's another way. If you think you're alone in questioning, is there another way? We're here to tell you that there are thousands of other families like yourself having these same discussions. We've come across hundreds on our YouTube channel that reach out to us. That's how we know that people are having these discussions. So the question becomes how to get off of the wheel. Well, if you're older, you probably have Social Security coming in or coming up. That's an exit ramp if it doesn't go broke. If you work in a certain industry and you have a pension coming up, that's an exit ramp. If you're younger, you can plan for a release date and work like a dog to accumulate money, skills, health, to get off that ramp. Now that's something worth chasing. So this is what our channel has been about all season, where we hope to inspire you with our own personal story. We hope to equip you with some information, actionable information that you can do something with. Now don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the alert button so that you can get all of our content delivered to you in YouTube. So thanks for joining this season on Off the Wheel, where we documented our journey. We started out with the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in Africa? And then we moved on to the question, why wouldn't life be better in America? And then we And we ended with moving to Africa less than a year after we asked the question. It was a crazy ride. It was a crazy journey. Thanks to my wife, who got this whole thing moving in the first place. If it were up to me, native New Yorker, had zero interest in ever leaving New York, I would have always been here running the wheel. Like, I'm good at the wheel. I had a good wheel, but I was still on the wheel. Where we hope that taking you along for the ride has helped you and your family have conversations at home. The kinds of conversations that might activate you into action. So it's been a good ride. It's been a good first season. So I want to say thank you to my co-host, my lovely wife.
You're welcome.
And so that's all I gotta say. Is there anything you want to add?
And we're really surprised that, the people that have reached out to us so far, the feedback that we've received, and we're excited to be starting our season 2 when we actually get on the ground in Ghana and give you more content, maybe for things that we have learned just from landing on the continent. And we hope to still inspire others to come to Ghana and to join us and start their own journeys to whichever African country you choose. Okay, see you in Ghana. So stand clear of the closing doors. Next up, the rest of your life.
Traveling to Ghana? Do we have a stay for you? Off the Wheel is offering modern, comfortable, and safe apartment units, where beyond the usual tourist activities, you have the benefit of a more immersive experience. We provide a unique itinerary to explore local food and neighborhoods, visit nearby beaches, shop markets, and so many other attractions. Whether you're traveling solo or in a group, we can service from 1 to 16 travelers. Enjoy on-premise activities like a gym, tennis, pool, and more. Hosted by 2 former Brooklynites recently relocated, who'll be your on-premise attendants to support and guide you.
We can't wait to show you what life could be like off the wheel.
Looking forward to hosting you.
See you in Ghana.